The vast darkness of space held many secrets, but none quite as desperate as the massive alien fleet currently stranded in the Kuiper Belt. 300 ships, each the size of a small city, floated helplessly at the edge of Earth's solar system. Their mighty quantum drives, once capable of crossing galaxies in weeks, now sat silent and cold. Captain Red stood at the command center of the flagship, his scaled hands gripping the navigation console. The name wasn't his real one. Humans would later give it to him because of his crimson scales that shimmered under the ship's lights. He stared at the main screen, watching as another systems diagnostic failed to solve their problem. Engineering reports complete failure of quantum drive systems across all ships. Captain, reported First Officer Blue. She tapped rapidly on her holographic display, trying to make sense of the contradicting data. The AI can't find any logical errors. It's as if the drives simply decided to stop working. The captain's tail twitched in frustration, a gesture that would have gotten him removed from command school back home for showing too much emotion. But after 3 days of being stranded with no solution in sight, even his legendary calm was breaking. "Show me the nearest inhabited systems," he ordered, his voice steady despite his growing concern. The massive display lit up, showing their position relative to nearby star systems. "Only one inhabited system within range, sir," Blue responded, zooming in on a familiar yellow star. It's them." The entire bridge crew turned to look at the display. Earth. The primitive planet that had only recently discovered rocket fuel. The species that still used combustion engines and hadn't even colonized their own moon properly. "They're broadcasting quite a lot," commented the communications officer, his antennae twitching as he analyzed the signals. "Television, radio, digital transmissions. They seem to love sending signals into space." Captain Red watched the steady stream of human broadcasts with growing interest. While most were what his species would consider entertainment or advertisements, some caught his attention. He saw humans fixing complicated machinery with simple tools. He watched their emergency services rescue people from impossible situations using basic equipment. He observed their engineers solving complex problems with surprisingly straightforward solutions. "Sir," First Officer Blue interrupted his thoughts, "life support systems are starting to show strain across the fleet. Without the quantum drives functioning, we can't properly power all systems. We have maybe 2 weeks before things get critical." The captain made a decision that would later be studied in history books across 2 civilizations. "Connect me to the fleet commanders." Within moments, the faces of 20 other ship commanders appeared on his screen. Their scales ranged from deep blues to bright greens, but all showed signs of stress. "My fellow commanders," Red began, "I am proposing we contact the humans for assistance." The response was immediate and loud. "Impossible," shouted Commander Green. "They're barely past using fire." "They still used fossil fuels," added another. "Their mathematics can't even properly describe quantum states." Captain Red waited for the outcry to die down. "They also," he said quietly, "solve problems differently than we do. Look at their broadcasts. While we rely on AI and quantum computing for everything, they still know how to fix things with their hands. While we've forgotten basic mechanics in favor of advanced physics, they still remember how to use simple machines. You want to trust the lives of 30 million citizens to a species that thinks hitting something with a wrench is proper engineering?" Commander Green asked incredulously. "I want to survive," Red replied firmly. "Our way isn't working. Our AI can't solve this. Our automated systems are failing. Perhaps it's time to try their way." The debate raged for hours, but as more systems began showing signs of strain, the reality of their situation became clear. They needed help, and Earth was their only option. "Send the message," Captain Red ordered finally. "Keep it simple. Something they can understand." The communications officer nodded and began composing the transmission. As he watched the message being sent toward the blue planet ahead, Captain Red wondered if he had just made first contact with humanity's first allies, or their last hope. The message traveled through space, heading toward Earth's various radio telescopes and satellite arrays. It was simple, direct, and would soon change both species forever. To the people of Earth, we need your help. Our ships are broken. We are stranded. Will you assist us? The message hit Earth's radio telescopes at 3:47 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Within minutes, astronomers around the world were calling their supervisors. Within hours, government leaders were being woken up. By noon, the entire planet knew. Aliens were real. They were in our solar system, and they needed help. Tom Miller was watching the news in his small apartment when the story broke. At 65, the retired spacecraft engineer had expected to spend his retirement quietly fixing old cars in his garage. Instead, he found himself staring at his TV screen, watching the alien message being played over and over. Our ships are broken, the message repeated. We are stranded. Will you assist us? Tom leaned forward in his chair, his coffee forgotten. The news showed grainy telescope images of the alien fleet, massive ships floating in the darkness beyond Neptune. But what caught his attention weren't the ships themselves, but the technical specifications the aliens had included with their message. Martha, he called to his wife, bring me my old notebooks from the garage. At the United Nations building in New York, things were chaotic. Representatives from every nation argued about how to respond. Some wanted to ignore the message. Others wanted to send military ships. A few suggested this was humanity's chance to prove itself to the galaxy. Dr. Anna White stood at the podium, trying to bring order to the chaos. At 48, she had spent her career studying spacecraft propulsion systems at NASA. Now she found herself trying to convince world leaders that this was an engineering problem, not a political one. The aliens aren't asking for our weapons or our resources, she explained, pointing to the technical data they had sent. They're asking for our help fixing their ships. This isn't an invasion, it's a rescue mission. In his apartment, Tom Miller was getting excited. He had spread his old notebooks across his kitchen table, comparing the alien drive specifications to something he'd seen before. The design looked surprisingly familiar. Martha, he shouted again. Remember that problem we had with the Soviet rockets back in '82? The one where the fuel injection system kept freezing. His wife poked her head into the kitchen. The one you solved with that crazy bypass system. Yes. Tom grabbed his phone and dialed NASA's public line. They're quantum drives. They're having the same problem. Different technology, same basic issue. At first, no one would take Tom's call seriously, but he kept calling, kept explaining, until finally someone listened. Within hours, his kitchen table analysis was being studied by top engineers around the world. Back at the UN, Dr. White received the report from NASA. She read it quickly, then smiled. Ladies and gentlemen, she addressed the assembly, we might have our first breakthrough. And it came from a retired engineer watching the news at home. The world moved with surprising speed after that. Within days, space agencies from different countries were working together for the first time in history. Engineers from Russia shared data with technicians from America. Scientists from China collaborated with researchers from India. The entire planet focused on a single goal, helping the stranded aliens. They called it the Unity Project, a massive rescue mission combining the best minds and resources Earth had to offer. Dr. White was chosen to lead it, and her first action was to hire Tom Miller as chief technical advisor. Your crazy old bypass system might just save an alien civilization, she told him as they studied the plans for Earth's rescue ship. How does that feel? Tom just smiled and pointed to another part of the alien specifications. Look here, he said. Their whole system is overcomplicated. They're so advanced they've forgotten the basics. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. In orbit, construction began on humanity's first interstellar rescue vessel. They named it Prometheus, after the mythical figure who gave fire to humanity. Now, humanity would bring its own kind of fire to the stars. As the ship took shape, Dr. White gathered her crew. They weren't just the best scientists and engineers. They were practical problem solvers, mechanics, and improvisers. People who knew how to fix things with whatever tools they had available. "Pack everything," she ordered. "Wrenches, duct tape, wire, spare parts. If it might be useful, bring it. We're going to show the galaxy how humans solve problems." The mission would take 3 months to reach the stranded fleet. 3 months to prepare for humanity's biggest test yet. But as Tom Miller liked to say, every problem had a solution. You just had to be willing to get your hands dirty finding it. The Prometheus lifted off from Earth on a clear Tuesday morning, riding a column of fire into the sky. Inside the ship, Dr. White held tight to her seat as the rocket engines pushed them through the atmosphere. Next to her, Tom Miller grinned like a kid on Christmas morning. "First time in space?" she asked him. "First, and probably last," he laughed, watching Earth shrink below them. "Never thought I'd be going to space at my age, much less to fix alien spaceships." The rescue ship carried 30 of Earth's best problem solvers. There were engineers from 5 countries, mechanics who could fix anything with an engine, and technicians who specialized in working under pressure. In the cargo hold, they had packed every tool they could think of, from high-tech testing equipment to basic hammers and wrenches. "Mission control. Prometheus is clear of Earth's atmosphere," reported Jack, their pilot. A former Air Force mechanic turned test pilot. He had been chosen for his ability to fix planes while flying them, beginning acceleration for deep space trajectory. The journey to the Kuiper Belt would take 3 months. But they couldn't just sit around during that time. Every day, the crew studied the technical data from the alien fleet, trying to understand their advanced technology. They set up a workshop in the ship's cargo bay. Tom led daily sessions where they practiced working with similar systems they had built based on the alien designs. They made mistakes, learned from them, and tried again. "The aliens rely too much on computers," Tom explained during one session, holding up a circuit board they had made. "They've got AI doing everything. But what happens when the AI can't solve the problem? That's where we come in." 2 months into their journey, they received new messages from the alien fleet. The situation was getting worse. Life support systems were failing on several ships. The aliens had never designed their vessels to run this long on backup power. "How bad is it?" Dr. White asked during their daily briefing. "They've lost environmental controls on 12 ships," answered Lisa, their communications expert. "They're crowding people onto other vessels, but they're running out of space. We've got maybe 2 weeks after we arrive before things get critical." The news made everyone work harder. They ran simulations, tested theories, and prepared for every possible problem they might face. Sometimes they worked until they fell asleep at their stations, only to wake up and start again. One day, Tom found Dr. White staring at a picture of the alien fleet on her tablet. "Having doubts?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "What if we can't help them? What if their technology is too advanced for us to understand?" Tom picked up a wrench from a nearby toolbox. "You know what this is? It's a wrench. Humans invented it thousands of years ago. The design hasn't changed much because it works. The aliens might have quantum drives and AI, but in the end, machines are machines. They break, and they need fixing." As they entered the final month of their journey, the crew began to see the alien fleet in their telescopes. 300 massive ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built, floating silently in space. "Would you look at that?" Jack whispered from the pilot's seat. "It's like a city in space." They received another message from Captain Red. "We are grateful for your assistance, though we must admit we are surprised by the basic nature of your rescue vessel." Dr. White smiled as she sent their reply. Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones. In the cargo bay, the crew did one final check of their equipment. Toolboxes were secured, spare parts were counted, and emergency repair kits were prepared. Tom walked down the rows of equipment, patting each toolbox like an old friend. "This is it, folks," Dr. White announced over the ship's speakers. "We're about to make history. In 12 hours, we'll be the first humans to make contact with an alien civilization. Let's show them what humanity can do." As the Prometheus approached the massive alien fleet, the crew felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They were about to attempt something never done before, fixing spaceships they had never seen, using technology they barely understood. But as Tom liked to say, that's what humans do best, solving problems no one else can solve. The Prometheus docked with the alien flagship in a burst of steam and clanking metal. Captain Red watched through the viewing screen as the small human ship attached itself to his massive vessel, looking like a tiny lifeboat next to an ocean liner. "Their docking procedure is surprisingly loud," First Officer Blue commented, wincing at the sounds. The first meeting between humans and aliens was brief. Both sides had more pressing concerns than formal ceremonies. Dr. White and Tom Miller, along with their core team, were quickly led to the quantum drive chamber. The chamber was enormous, bigger than a football field. The quantum drive sat in the center, a massive crystalline structure that should have been humming with energy. Instead, it was dark and silent. "Beautiful machine," Tom said, walking around the drive. He pulled out something that made the aliens step back in surprise, a simple wrench. "Mind if I take a look underneath?" The alien engineers exchanged worried glances. "Underneath?" one asked. "But the quantum harmonics require perfect alignment. Our maintenance is all done by nanobots and AI systems, which aren't working," Tom reminded them. He lay down on his back and scooted under the drive housing. "Dr. White, grab a flashlight, would you?" The aliens watched in horror as the humans began examining their precious quantum drive with what they considered primitive tools. Their horror grew when Tom started tapping different parts with his wrench, listening to the sound. "Found it," he called out after 20 minutes. "Dr. White, remember those old Soviet rockets? Same problem. The housing is cracked. Metal fatigue." Dr. White joined him under the drive. The quantum field must be causing micro-vibrations. Over time, it weakened the support structure. "Impossible," the alien chief engineer declared. "Our eye would have detected any structural failures." "I can't feel vibrations," Tom said, standing up and wiping his hands on his coveralls. "Sometimes you need human senses. Here, feel this." He guided the alien's hand to a spot on the drive housing. "Feel that slight tremor? That's your problem. The housing is cracked, so the quantum field isn't properly contained. Your drive isn't broken, it's just leaking energy." The aliens gathered around, touching the spot Tom had identified. Their expressions changed from doubt to surprise as they felt the subtle vibration. "But how can we fix it?" First Officer Blue asked. "Our nanobots can't repair structural damage this severe." Tom grinned and turned to the Prometheus crew. "Lisa, bring in the toolkit. Jack, get the portable welder. Dr. White, we're going to need those reinforcement plates we fabricated." The next few hours were a crash course in human engineering for the aliens. They watched in amazement as the humans measured, cut, and welded reinforcement plates to the quantum drive housing. There were no computers involved, no AI assistants, just skilled hands and basic tools. "This is barbaric," one alien engineer muttered as Jack fired up the welder. "They're using heat and metal to fix a quantum drive." "Sometimes barbaric works," Dr. White replied with a smile. "The quantum field doesn't care if the fix is elegant. It just needs to be strong." Tom supervised the work, teaching the aliens as they went. "See this weld pattern? It'll distribute the stress evenly. And these support struts, they'll prevent future fatigue." Simple solutions, but they work. As they worked, more alien engineers arrived from other ships, watching and learning. They began to understand something their advanced civilization had forgotten: the value of hands-on engineering. After 6 hours of work, Tom stood back. "All right, try it now." Captain Red gave the order. The quantum drive hummed to life, its crystal structure glowing with energy. The containment readings were perfect. "It's working," First Officer Blue said in disbelief. "The quantum field is stable." "But how?" "Sometimes the most advanced problems have the simplest solutions," Tom explained, packing up his tools. "You folks got so focused on quantum mechanics that you forgot about regular mechanics. Now, who's going to help us fix the other 299 ships?" The aliens looked at their working quantum drive, then at the simple tools that had fixed it. Captain Red stepped forward. "Teach us," he said simply. "Teach us everything." With the successful repair of the flagship's quantum drive, the real work began. 300 ships needed fixing, and time was running out. The human crew split into teams, each taking a group of alien engineers under their wing. Tom Miller stood in the flagship's main hangar, now converted into a makeshift classroom. Around him, dozens of alien engineers watched as he demonstrated basic welding techniques on a piece of drive housing. "The key is to feel the metal," he explained, running his hand along a finished weld. "Your computers can't tell you everything. You need to trust your instincts, your senses." Dr. White had organized the repair operation like a production line. The Prometheus's fabrication unit worked nonstop, producing reinforcement plates. Teams of humans and aliens moved from ship to ship, working together to install the fixes. "Careful with that weld," Lisa shouted, guiding an alien engineer's hands. "Too hot, and you'll weaken the metal. Too cold, and it won't hold. There you go. Feel the difference." The aliens proved to be quick learners once they got past their initial reluctance to use primitive tools. Their natural dexterity and quick minds made them excellent mechanics once they understood the basics. "It's fascinating," an alien engineer named Swift told Jack as they repaired the 20th ship. "We've spent centuries letting machines do everything for us. We forgot the joy of fixing things with our own hands." The work was hard, and the hours were long. Life support systems on several ships were close to failing. They had to prioritize the most critical vessels first, moving refugees from dying ships to ones with stable systems. 1 week into the repairs, they hit their first major problem. A quantum drive activated before the housing repair was complete, causing a dangerous energy surge. The alien AI systems froze, unable to handle the unexpected situation. "Everyone back," Tom shouted, grabbing a simple manual override lever he had installed. With one pull, he shut down the drive before it could overload. And that, folks, is why we always include manual backups. The incident proved to be a turning point. The aliens began to see the value in keeping simple mechanical systems alongside their advanced technology. They started adding manual controls and backup systems to all their repairs. Captain Red visited the repair teams regularly, watching the progress with growing appreciation. During one visit, he found Dr. White teaching a group of alien engineers about basic stress analysis. "I must admit," he said, "when we first called for help, I never expected to learn so much from a less advanced species." Dr. White smiled as she adjusted a sensor reading. Sometimes advancing too far in one direction means forgetting valuable lessons from the past. There's worth in both old and new technologies. By the end of the second week, they had repaired over half the fleet. The process got faster as more alien engineers learned the repair techniques and started teaching others. What had started as a rescue mission had turned into the galaxy's biggest engineering workshop. Tom found himself working with an alien engineer named Bright, who had a particular talent for mechanical repairs. "You remind me of myself when I was younger," Tom told him. "Always wanting to know how things work, not just that they work." "Our education system never taught us these skills," Bright replied, carefully fitting a reinforcement plate. "We were taught to trust the AI, to let the machines handle everything. We lost something important along the way." As the final ships were being repaired, Dr. White called a meeting of all the engineering teams. The vast hangar was filled with humans and aliens, all tired but proud of what they had accomplished together. "We've done more than just fix your ships," she told the gathered crowd. "We've bridged the gap between our civilizations. You've taught us about quantum mechanics and advanced AI. We've taught you about the basics of engineering and the importance of hands-on skills. Together, we're stronger than either of us alone." Tom stood at the back of the hangar, watching humans and aliens working side by side on the last few repair jobs. He smiled as he saw an alien engineer teaching the human about quantum field theory, while the human showed them how to properly use a torque wrench. "Not bad," he muttered to himself, "for a bunch of primitive apes with rockets." As the last quantum drive hummed back to life, a celebration broke out across the alien fleet. 300 ships, all repaired and functional, their crews no longer in danger. But the work wasn't quite finished. Both species had more to learn from each other. Captain Red stood in the flagship's main conference room, addressing the gathered human and alien crews. "Thanks to Earth's help, our fleet is saved. But we've gained more than just repairs. We've gained wisdom." The room had changed over the past weeks. Tools hung on walls that once held only computer screens. Maintenance manuals written by Tom sat next to quantum physics texts. It was a perfect picture of how the two civilizations had begun to blend their knowledge. "Your quantum physics is amazing," Dr. White told the alien scientists during a teaching session. "But have you considered combining it with basic mechanical principles?" She sketched a design on a paper notepad. Another human tool the aliens had grown to appreciate. The aliens were quick to share their knowledge too. They taught the humans about advanced materials, energy systems, and the basics of quantum engineering. But they did it differently now, focusing on practical understanding rather than just theoretical knowledge. "See this quantum field generator," Bright explained to a group of human engineers. "It's complex, yes, but think of it like water flowing through pipes. The principles are similar to your hydraulic systems." Tom had started what he called the Keep It Simple School, teaching alien engineers how to solve complex problems with basic tools. His favorite lesson involved fixing a quantum computer using nothing but a screwdriver and some wire. "Your eye is incredible," he told his alien students, "but never trust it completely. Always have a backup plan. Always know how to fix things yourself." The alien engineers took this lesson to heart. They began modifying their ships, adding manual controls and mechanical backup systems. Some even started carrying toolboxes, something unheard of in their culture before the humans arrived. In the flagship's mess hall, humans and aliens shared meals and stories. The aliens were fascinated by human history, especially stories of how Earth's engineers had solved problems during disasters. "You mean you fixed a spacecraft in orbit using only duct tape?" an alien asked, their scales changing color in amazement. "And cardboard," Lisa laughed. "Never underestimate human creativity in a crisis." Captain Red and Dr. White worked together to create a new engineering program. It would combine the best of both worlds, advanced alien technology and basic human engineering principles. The program would be taught across the galaxy. "We need to update our fleet's eye," Captain Red explained during a planning session. "Add human-style problem-solving to its programming. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most advanced one." The humans helped the aliens modify their AI systems, teaching them to consider simple solutions alongside complex ones. In return, the aliens helped upgrade the Prometheus with some of their technology, though Tom insisted on keeping the manual controls. "Finding the right balance," Dr. White said, watching alien engineers practicing with simple tools while humans studied quantum field diagrams. "That's what this is all about." One evening, Tom found Bright trying to take apart an old Earth radio the humans had brought. The alien engineer had become fascinated with how simple electronics worked. "In all our advancement," Bright said, carefully examining the radio's circuits, "we forgot the joy of understanding how things work at their most basic level. You've given us back something we didn't even know we lost." As the days passed, both groups found themselves less eager to part ways. The humans had discovered that advanced technology didn't have to be mysterious or unreachable. The aliens had learned that progress didn't mean abandoning the basics. "We came here to fix your ships," Dr. White told Captain Red, "but we've built something more important, a bridge between our cultures." The captain nodded, watching a group of young alien engineers proudly showing off their first completely mechanical repair job. "Perhaps," he said, "this is the beginning of a much longer journey together." In the end, what started as a simple rescue mission had become something far more significant. Proof that no matter how advanced a civilization becomes, there's always value in remembering the basics. 5 years after the Great Rescue Mission, Earth had changed. The planet had become known throughout the galaxy as the home of the universe's best problem solvers. Ships from distant worlds regularly visited Earth's spaceports, seeking human engineers and mechanics. Tom Miller stood at the graduation ceremony of the first class of the International Space Engineering Academy. The school, built with help from Captain Red's people, combined Earth's practical engineering with alien advanced technology. Students from 50 different alien species studied alongside humans. "Remember," Tom told the graduating class, "no problem is too complex for a simple solution, and no technology is too basic if it works." Dr. White had become Earth's ambassador to the galactic community. She traveled between worlds, helping set up similar engineering schools across the galaxy. Today, she was back on Earth for a special ceremony. The rescue of the stranded fleet is now taught in engineering schools across 1,000 worlds, she addressed the crowd. Not because it was the most advanced rescue, but because it showed us all that progress isn't just about having the newest technology. The Prometheus had become a museum piece, carefully preserved to show future generations how a simple human ship had saved an advanced alien fleet. But it wasn't just kept for show. Every student had to spend time learning its basic systems before they could study quantum drives. Captain Red, now an admiral, frequently visited Earth. He had become a strong supporter of what the galaxy called the human approach. Combining advanced technology with basic engineering skills, his fleet now carried toolboxes alongside their quantum computers. "My engineers once laughed at the idea of using wrenches," he told a group of students during a guest lecture. "Now, no ship in our fleet launches without a full set of manual tools and crew members who know how to use them." Bright had opened an engineering school on his homeworld, teaching both alien and human students. His most popular class was called Simple Solutions for Complex Problems, where students had to fix quantum drives using only basic tools. "The humans taught us that moving forward doesn't mean leaving everything behind," he would tell his students. "Sometimes the old ways are still the best ways." The galaxy had changed too. Ships were now designed with both AI systems and manual controls. Engineering teams carried advanced diagnostic computers alongside basic tool sets. The term human engineering had become a mark of quality across the stars. One day, a young alien student asked Tom why the humans had agreed to help the stranded fleet when they barely knew anything about space travel. "Because that's what humans do," Tom replied with a smile. "We fix things. We solve problems. We help those in need. Sometimes being less advanced gives you advantages. You remember the simple solutions that others have forgotten." The story of the rescue became legend. It was told in engineering schools as an example of how the simplest solution could solve the most complex problem. It was told in alien homes as a reminder that advancement shouldn't mean forgetting the basics. Dr. White finally retired from her ambassador role, but she continued teaching at the academy. Her favorite moment was watching human and alien students work together, combining their different approaches to solve problems. "Look at them," she said to Tom during one class. "Humans teaching aliens about mechanical repairs, while aliens teach humans about quantum physics. This is what progress really looks like." The original repair crews became celebrities in their own way. They were sought after as teachers and advisors across the galaxy, but most, like Tom, preferred to stay at the academy, teaching new generations of engineers. "The galaxy learned something important from humans," Captain Red said during the Academy's anniversary celebration. They learned that true wisdom isn't just about knowing the most advanced solution. It's about knowing the right solution. As Earth took its place among the stars, it didn't try to catch up with alien technology. Instead, it offered something unique: the ability to combine old and new, simple and complex, manual and automatic. The humans had taught the galaxy that sometimes the best way forward is to remember what you left behind. And somewhere in space, 300 ships still flew with their quantum drives housed in human-designed repair patches, a constant reminder that the simplest solution is often the best one.